Hello, thank you for joining us. We begin our report with President Biden trying to end the discussion about removing him from the ticket. Fellow Democrats, he began in his letter sent to Congress Monday. Despite all the speculation in the press and elsewhere, I am firmly committed to staying in this race, to running in this race to the end, and to beating Donald Trump. While the president's letter was addressed to all members of his party on Capitol Hill, it came after 5 representatives publicly called for the president to step down. CBS News has confirmed at least 4 others have expressed the same sentiment in private meetings with House Democratic leadership. In a call with Democratic donors, the president reportedly said, quote, "We're done talking about the debate," echoing the pointed remarks he made earlier in the day on MSNBC.
I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party who they know so much more. But if any of these guys don't think I should run against me, go ahead, announce for president. Challenge me at the convention.
We wondered about that claim about the elites, so we checked with our election and surveys director, Anthony Salvanto, to see what our polling says about whether it's just the elites who are concerned about Biden carrying on. By one definition of elite, which is education and income, the views on Biden dropping out of the race are as follows. According to our post-debate polling, of those without a college degree, 41% said Biden should not be running. Of those with a college degree, 52% said this. For those Democrats making less than $50,000, 37% said Biden should drop out, whereas for those making more than $100,000, 54% say so. By this measure, those with greater incomes and education are more inclined to support Biden leaving the race, but there is not so much more of that opinion that it supports the idea that the desire for him to drop out of the race is a position held by elites alone. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is preparing for his party convention next week by trying to distance himself from the work done on his behalf. Over the weekend, Trump posted on Truth Social saying he has nothing to do with Project 2025, an exhaustive set of policy recommendations put together by the conservative group, the Heritage Foundation, that lays out a complete overhaul of the federal government and consolidation of power for a would-be Republican president. To talk about both of these issues, CBS News chief Washington correspondent Major Garrett joins me now. Major, let's start with the president. He's saying that calls for him to drop out of the race are coming from elites. As the party that gets more votes from the wealthy and from those with higher education, is Biden showing he's a fighter at the expense of punching his own party in the nose?
Yes, a little bit, John. But let's also recall something kind of important. In 2020, Joe Biden lost the Iowa caucuses, lost the New Hampshire primary, lost the Nevada caucuses, and won the South Carolina primary, at which point, what happened? The elites in the party, meaning grassroots organizers, but also significant institutional donors and all of the superstructure, congressmen, governors, senators, said, you know what? This looks to be Biden and Bernie Sanders. We don't want Bernie Sanders. We want Joe Biden. And that sent a signal to all the other competitors to get out of the race and make it as quickly as possible what? A contest between Biden and Bernie Sanders, which Biden won in pursuit of the nomination. The party elites made that happen, or at least significantly set that in motion. So for the president to say now, oh, these elites know nothing. Well, they apparently knew something in 2020 that Joe Biden thought was worth listening to. That is a kind of reminder of this history of who the elites are and aren't, and why, after nearly 2 weeks, we're not quite at 2 weeks yet, but we're coming up on the 2-week anniversary of the debate, this conversation continues. The White House has not been able to stymie the conversation, not been able to convince House Democrats, Senate Democrats from doing what they would have preferred, which is to keep all their misgivings, all their anxieties to themselves. They are now seeping out into the public conversation. And each and every day this continues, John, is a day lost to all Democrats, but specifically President Biden, to prosecute the case against Donald Trump. And every day lost in politics can never be recovered.
Before switching to this strategy of elites, the strategy was that the president was going to end skepticism by sitting for interviews and showing skills that were not in evidence in the debate. He talked to George Stephanopoulos of ABC. Is anyone in the Biden camp saying he hit it out of the park? He's done that successfully, shown his acuity, or are they saying essentially, let's just stop talking about this?
Stop talking about this. And as you and I have discussed on this program before, John, The arbiter of all this is the President of the United States. He's the one who's deciding whether or not he gets a passing or A grade. And the president believes he always, since the debate, has gotten an A grade or something that is far beyond passing. And he's the only one who needs to be satisfied. Whether other Democrats are satisfied or not does not appear to be of interest to him, because he knows, as he said on Morning Joe on MSNBC this morning, run against me. He has twice as many delegates as he needs. The rules are decidedly in his favor. And unless you are willing to say, I submit my name in nomination to challenge President Biden, going on cable television, sending out press releases, or granting cable television interviews doesn't get you very far.
Let's turn to Donald Trump. Why is he distancing himself from Project 2025? And for those who have no idea what that is, tell us what it is.
Project 2025 is a 900-page, at least at current writing, manifesto for the next conservative presidency in America. It is built for and created to assist Donald Trump, though that is not the explicit orientation. Many of the most important people leading Project 2025 served in the first Trump administration, would plan to serve in the next one, should there be one. And so the orientation of Project 2025 is to give an incoming President Trump for his second term that which he lacked in the first one. A lot of people who we could hire, personnel recommendations to fill out his administration with complete loyalists, and a means by which to test that loyalty in terms of policy. That is what Project 2025 is all about. President Trump is distancing himself from it because it is, in the minds of many independent and swing voters, possibly far, far too extreme, much more conservative than they would be comfortable with. And when someone who's the project leader says, as he did last week on a podcast, we are launching a second American revolution, I'm paraphrasing here, which will be bloodless so long as the left permits it. That kind of rhetoric is what has many people alarmed about what the actual orientation of Project 2025 is. Having heard that, former President Trump said, oh, I don't know anything about it, and trying to put himself at some measured distance from Project 2025. It will be up to the political back and forth to see if that's successful.
Project 2025 has been around for a while now. Why do we think that he's saying this now? And also, I want to go back to that loyalty point. The vetting of people on the basis of loyalty, where that is the primary goal for the people who would serve in an administration, does it invite this kind of outcome where something like Project 2025 comes around?
It does in a pure Trump context, John. And the Heritage Foundation is a think tank in Washington, the long, long history dating all the way back to Ronald Reagan's presidency. It was vital to Ronald Reagan's presidency. It created a manifesto then called Mandate for Leadership, which Ronald Reagan as a candidate and as president used and relied upon. But it goes on a very simple premise, that in politics, personnel is policy. And if you put the right people in the right places, you can get the right things done. If you have the wrong people in places, things will get stopped, even if you've made a promise or even if you tell them to do something. So this is a way to create not only ideas, policy propositions, but people who are committed to helping you or ensuring that those policy positions become enacted within the vast federal bureaucracy. And one of the things that Project 2025 talks about is abolishing this idea of civil servants and having only political loyalists, patronage positions, which goes back to the early founding of our country, 18th, 19th century America. That's what this is about.
Really helpful. Thank you so much, Major Garrett, not going away. Major Garrett in Washington.